Here at the Melon Initiative, we have simplified medical information into language you can understand. We create a safe space for you to ask your questions and share a nursing perspective. Today, as you can see, we're joined by two special guests. First, we have Aisha Patrick, the creator of the Psoriasis Collective and the founder of the Sisters with Psoriasis, an online Facebook support group. And joined, for those of you who don't know, outside of the podcast, I spent all my time running the Mahogany Dermatology Nursing Education and Research Company, where we increase access to dermatology education for nurses and nurse practitioners with an emphasis on skin of color, business acumen, and digital fluency. This year, we have our first internship called the Mahogany Telederm Nurse Internship, and Jade Trevino is the first intern for us this year. And since we talk about derm over there, I thought this would be a great opportunity for her to participate in the show. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Kimberly Madison. I'm a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, and I co-host this show with Alicia and Geraldine, who send their love in their absence. We're a health literacy podcast. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it, to manage your health and advocate for others. We have two missions here. The first is to promote that health literacy, both among the public and our peers. The second is to elevate the expertise of nurses, bring awareness to all the diverse career opportunities that exist in the healthcare industry, and then to share with our peers how we can leverage our expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment or two, share it with your friends. When you interact with our platform, it shows the algorithm that this information is important, so that when people like you look for topics like this, we show up higher in the search results. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are our opinions alone. They are not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you think you might be having a medical emergency, you seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you should call 911. If you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, the Mel Initiative podcast today, we got a powerhouse in the building, a champion, a warrior, somebody who saw a need and didn't wait for no one else to fix it. And she built a whole movement from the ground up. You know how we do it here on the Mel Initiative. We bring the best of the best, and today is no different. This woman has been in the trenches, battling psoriasis since childhood. But when that major flare hit at the top of the pandemic, covering her scalp, her body, even leading to psoriatic arthritis, she didn't sit back and take it. No, no, no. She turned pain into power. When she couldn't find a community for Black women navigating this disease, she did what we do best. She created her own. Sisters with Psoriasis, a thriving support group, and the Psoriasis Collective, a movement dedicated to advocacy, education, and empowerment. And trust me, she's not just talking about it, she's out here doing the work. She's a fierce advocate with the National Psoriasis Foundation, an ambassador, a mentor, a speaker, and a patient research partner, pushing for change in how psoriasis is diagnosed and treated in communities of color. Oh, and did I mention she's repping Jersey, twin life, and putting in work to make sure the next generation doesn't have to fight for the same recognition she did. So buckle up, because today we're getting real about disparities, advocacy, and how we can do better. Give it up for the unstoppable, the undeniable, Miss Aisha Patrick.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much, Dr. Madison. I'm so grateful and thankful to even just be here. That intro, I need to take you everywhere that I go.
I'm available. So before we get into our topic for today, we want to get to know you a little bit better. We have something we called 5 questions in 5 minutes. It's our little icebreaker. So the first question is my favorite one. What's the best thing that never happened to you?
I never won the lottery.
Hmm.
That's the best thing that never happened to me.
Okay, how so?
So you said the best thing that never happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So the best thing that never happened, I never won the lottery, which means that I have to go to work every single day. Even though I do enjoy my job, I think winning the lottery might, might be something, beneficial to my life. So
Mm-hmm. What's the next big idea you want to be a part of?
Oh, wow. The next big idea I want to be a part of. I just want to expand the collective and just like connect with other advocates that are also people of color outside of the psoriasis space. So I just want to build a larger community of other people of color that can provide access and education within our community.
What's the most important thing you've learned about communication?
Wow, the most important thing that I've learned about communication is that a lot of people actually are unaware of how to truly listen and
Mm.
to hear other people. Um, because it's not just the act of listening through your ear, but like really hearing what people are saying, grasping it, and like giving them the opportunity to fully express what it is that they're trying to convey without you providing any judgment. And sometimes people just want someone to listen without like having them give them too much, and that doesn't happen often enough.
Very good response. What's your biggest challenge this week and how are you overcoming it?
So my biggest challenge this week is just trying to. I'm at the max at the number of mentees that I can have, and just trying to support them because we've had a uptick of people just seeking support and help as far as with mentees for the psoriasis for National Psoriasis Foundation. And for me, because of everything that's happening, whether it's in the state of the world or in personal lives, it's been a challenge to just try to support as much as possible. So just trying to create a positive space so that others know that they always have someone out there for them because with what's happening in general in the world, it goes beyond our conditions, what people are experiencing. So that's been a challenge that I'm just trying to work through.
Thank you for sharing that. And our last question, what season are you in?
What season am I in? I am in spring because I'm over the winter. Like I'm a June baby, so already like anything cold is not for me. But I think we hit like 54 today, and that was like it felt like summer to me. So I am definitely in the spring. I don't care what the calendar says. I am in the spring.
Where are you joining us from?
I am in New Jersey. I'm a
Oh, that's right.
Jersey girl, born and bred. I love it, and that's where I am today.
Okay, great. Let's get into our topic about psoriasis. So, when it comes to your journey, when did you first notice your symptoms and what was it like growing up with the condition?
So when I was a kid, like I really honestly didn't understand that I had a condition. My mom used to tell my sister and I, because I'm a twin, that we had growing dandruff and that on our skin, that we had winter itch because whenever the weather would change, it would get cold. We would get plaques. I didn't know they were plaques. It was just looked dry to me. So honestly, it wasn't until I was in college going to um, the doctor myself that I understood that I actually had a condition. Prior to that, no clue at all.
Okay, and so when did you learn that you had psoriasis and how do you describe it?
So I learned the formal name of psoriasis when I actually started going to the doctor myself in college. But at that time, it was still pretty mild. Like it wasn't anything major. Again, only in the winter I would have flare ups on my body. And it pretty much was manageable in my scalp. I would have times where I would definitely have to watch like what I'm wearing, nothing too dark because I would have flakes, but it still pretty much was really manageable. It wasn't really until the top of the pandemic where I had my major flare up where I wouldn't call it a 360 by any stretch of the imagination. It was a 180 where I experience the fullness of what psoriasis can be for me. And that's when I knew the extent of what I had.
And how do you describe it?
So for me, with my psoriasis, I had a lot of flakes in my scalp. I actually lost quite a bit of my hair. The majority of my crown actually came out between just different things with like the medication, and also just not really fully understanding how to care for my scalp while trying to take out the scales. And then all along my body, I had the plaques. But in addition to the plaques, I also had what I learned to be guttate psoriasis, which looked like I could only describe it kind of like chicken pox, kind of like really fine um, bumps. And I didn't know if I had a rash or what have you, but I had that all over my body, also under my breasts, and then different areas in my body. I had what is called inverse psoriasis. And again, I didn't understand what that was. I looked under my breast. It was very dark, and just very like thin, the skin, and very uncomfortable. Um, I would have burning sensations, itching like incessantly. And it was a very difficult time because I went literally from having something very mild, only experiencing symptoms, during certain times of the year or here and there with my scalp, to losing my hair, my whole body is covered, and I can't physically go into my dermatologist's office because of the pandemic. I have to communicate the way we're communicating right now, via a laptop. So it was very difficult because I literally, I was afraid.
Yeah, you had it really bad actually. In addition to the being afraid, how did it affect you other ways physically and also mentally?
So because I had like limited knowledge about psoriasis in general, I had no idea that it could develop into psoriatic arthritis. So during that time, I was thinking, oh, well, now I'm like in my 40s, my body is supposed to experience these aches and pains. And I would wake up every morning just very tight. Like I would call myself the Tin Woman because I would literally just wake up and could barely move. When I would go down the stairs, I would have to like hold onto the side of the wall just to walk down the stairs. I didn't know that this was a symptom of psoriatic arthritis. I also noticed that like my nails were yellowing. In addition to that, they looked like they had tiny indents in them. Had no idea again that this was, a symptom or a sign of psoriatic arthritis. So I was experiencing so much. I had all of these issues on the outside of my body. I'm dealing with, now these aches and pains. I'm not sure where it's coming from. My nails look different. My mental, I was just so like overwhelmed at that time. In addition, I had some other health issues where I was supposed to have surgery, couldn't have the surgery because of the pandemic. And my stress level was through the roof. So I was experiencing all of these things all at once, and I honestly struggled quite a bit during that time because I just literally didn't know where or why any of this was happening. And I remember one day calling my twin sister and saying, I don't know, like, why is this happening to me? And thankfully I have her because she encouraged me, and she reminded me that there's, even in pain, there's purpose, and that I would get to the other side.
Very good advice. And this motivated you to start your own community. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, so during the time that I was experiencing all of these things, like most people do, I went online, like Googling, just trying to find information, trying to like, because even with the good tape, I didn't know like what that was. So I'm like Googling, trying to figure out everything. And I was like, well, let me try to like see if there's other women of color that look like me that have experienced the same thing with my scalp. Maybe they could like tell me, tips or what have you. And honestly, I could not find a lot of information. I couldn't find too many other people. And I was just like, it's like impossible that I'm the only person that is dealing with this. Like, why is there not something somewhere that someone can go to if they need help? Because it was just like when you Google it, you would see these pictures of like, red patches or, different things. And I was just like, that's not me. And I kind of, I went to Facebook, I'd seen different groups, but I with most things you can connect more with people that, you know, you can relate to. So I seen that did not exist for us. And I was at the park with two of my friends, and it was almost like I heard a whisper almost. And I was like, you know, I'm going to create a group. I said, well, I'm just going to start a group. Even if it's just two of us, I'm just going to start a group. There has to be other people experiencing this. And literally, that is how Sisters with Psoriasis was started on Facebook as a group. And I have an Instagram page. And then later, I expanded to the Psoriasis Collective, more of like a comprehensive group of people that are connected to all women in this group, women of color. But our focus is women of color, obviously. But um, the collective includes like podcasts like yourself, other professionals in dermatology, other groups, almost kind of like connecting everyone to the collective so that we have access to what we need, the education, resources, and support. So I I never like imagined that it would grow to the level it has, but I'm so grateful because now not only did I realize that I wasn't alone, but the women that are part of the group realize that they are not alone and it extends beyond us. So I'm so passionate about it, and like it just warms my heart to know that like I'm part of I've created something that will extend beyond my years here.
Yes, you're doing wonderful work. We're so glad to be able to showcase your journey and the community that you're building. I want to talk a little bit more about how psoriasis impacts communities of color specifically. Why is it so often misdiagnosed or overlooked in Black and Brown communities?
So typically, like I said, when I was doing my own research, when you Google anything about psoriasis, or you see, typically white skin with red patches, or I even learned from, speaking with other professionals that dermatologists specifically, that even when they're in school, like some of the images that are shown are not of black skin. So just as far as the medical professionals that I have connected with, I've been told that it's not something that is often taught as far as how it's looked. Now, as far as within our community, just in general, like I told you at the top of the show that like my mother said to us that we had growing dandruff. So like I think there's a piece too within our community that we are not fully educated on these different types of conditions. And so because of that, like we rely on, which I love, like some home remedies and all these different things, but we don't recognize that like it's a deeper issue that it's something that impacts our immune system, and can become a bigger issue, such as psoriatic arthritis. But I think just in general, with the lack of just you know education about what psoriasis is, like people like think it's eczema, or they might think it's impetigo or some other disease, or as far as like the individual themselves, or like I said, with the medical professionals that I have spoken to, where they've said that it's not something that they've seen taught as far as what it looks like on our skin. I think that's where you see that there's either a misdiagnosis or it's undiagnosed, and it also looks different. So, like, sometimes it might look like dark brown or like purplish or grayish versus the red patchy scales that they talk about often.
Yes, there's a huge lack of diversity in dermatology when it comes to faculty, medical images, participants in clinical trials. It's really huge in nursing because we don't even collect the data to know that disparity. There's less than 5% of dermatologists are Black or brown. The incoming president of the American Academy of Dermatology is Dr. Susan Taylor. She founded the Skin of Color Society over 20 years ago. There's been multiple initiatives, books have been written, although there is a limited number of textbooks for skin of color, particularly in the last 10 years, and especially in nursing, wound care, cosmetics, and pediatrics. And even still, all of those initiatives, all those groups, all those webinars, all those speakers, all those initiatives, the numbers haven't changed. That lack of diversity is still quite prevalent. That's one of the reasons we have the internship going, why we're bringing you on this show, and the work that you're doing in your community and with the National Psoriasis Foundation to try to improve that lack of diversity in dermatology. So we thank you for bringing attention to that and showing us on the other side, on the patient, how that impacts the patient when we have these disparities, both in education and in clinical practice. In the Facebook page, because you did mention a few things, I'm curious, is there a question that you're answering every day that's the same one when it comes to that misconception about psoriasis in communities of color?
There, as far as the group members, like we've posed the question itself, like what is it that you'd like people to know about psoriasis? And one of the things that is often said is that it exists in Black people, because there is a misconception that our people do not get psoriasis. It's just extra dandruff, or it's just dry skin, or it's just, just use this thing, use that thing. And I think that is the common misconception that you find across the board when you ask any of the members of our group. And quite often, like, you find that some of the people that are in the group might not even have a formal diagnosis. They themselves are searching because they're unsure, and it's because of those reasons, because they've never heard of it. I had one group member even say that she had to find a new hairstylist because her hairstylist said that he hadn't seen anything like that in the 50 years that he's been a stylist. As far as the severity of her scalp psoriasis. Um, so, there is a misconception that the disease actually exists in our people.
Hi, I'm Alicia from the Melanin Initiative podcast. Our mission is twofold. One, to simplify complex health information so you feel empowered to ask questions, educated on how to manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. And two, to elevate the expertise of nurses, spotlight the diverse career opportunities within the healthcare industry, and inform our peers how to leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. In less than 2 years, we've grown to over 50,000 views and 1,000 downloads, with an international audience spanning the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and more. Our engaged listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs aged 25 to 44 who value authentic, impactful content. Want to connect with this dynamic audience? Advertise with us. Send in your 1-minute video ad and let's amplify your brand. Email tmi.melanin@gmail.com for rates and details. Let's work together.
That's such a good point, and you gave me a lot of ideas while you were talking. So you mentioned that you've been diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. Can you just explain to us what that is and how you were able to get to your diagnosis?
Sure. So psoriatic arthritis affects the joints. And the way that I learned that I have psoriatic arthritis outside of like the symptoms that I was experiencing, when I explained all those things to my dermatologist, she actually referred me to a rheumatologist. And from there, I had like all this blood work done, and she explained sedimentation rates and inflammation and all those things. It was a lot to like unpack, but ultimately, she came up with the diagnosis of psoriatic arthritis for me based off of my symptoms, based off of the blood work that I had, the inflammation that I had, and honestly, like people really don't understand that it's not just your joints feeling tired, but like the fatigue that I experience, like I can't even describe. Like the only way I could describe it, and only not everybody has experienced this, but um, the pregnancy tired. If anyone has carried a child, the tiredness that you get from pregnancy. That's the only way that I could describe it. Like in that last trimester when you're almost done, like and you can't do anything else. That like there's times where I can't get up. I'm exhausted. Um, and it's hard for people to understand that that's connected to my psoriasis because it's something regarding my immune system. And people think that psoriasis is just a skin thing. It's not just a skin thing. So yes, I ended up at the rheumatologist who, confirmed everything for me. And um, from there, I made like a lot of life changes in general. I started exercising and just trying to change, and I say trying to change how I eat because it's important. It's important, but it was a lot to take in because, again, even though I'm in my 40s, like there's times where I can't move and like I'm in my 40s. I should still be able to kind of like get around. So it's been a whirlwind, but I'm getting it like I've gotten it together with the help and support of my family, friends, and even my mentees. They help me too when I seek help from them. It's not just me, So it's definitely been a lot.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, the community helps everyone. And I love that you were referred to rheumatology. For those listening who aren't familiar, that's a physician specialist who usually helps treat inflammatory conditions. And when it comes to psoriasis, there's a lot of people who might be on your team. It might be primary care, who you first tell about your symptoms or who notices it when they do your physical exam. Most, I would say at least most people who get diagnosed with psoriasis are going to be referred to or managed by a dermatology provider at some point. And then one of the things we always like to ask some of my peers, this information about psoriasis, even though we're talking about lack of diversity in dermatology, even in psoriasis, derm in general, when it comes to physicians, NPs, and PAs, those of us who don't practice in dermatology don't get that education either, skin of color or not. And so, we do these episodes for that advocacy because it's so important that as a patient, you speak up for yourself and you ask the right questions to make sure that you get seen and treated by the people who can give you the accurate diagnosis and treatment earlier rather than later. So specifically when it comes to psoriasis, we want to ask, are you having any pain? Because then that can be an early indicator that you might have or be at risk for psoriatic arthritis, and that increases your risk for other conditions, particularly cardiovascular. And we really want you to be seen immediately by someone a cardiologist. So you might have primary care on your team, dermatology, rheumatology, and cardiac. Because psoriasis, it's not just the skin, it can impact so many other conditions. And cardiac is definitely at the top of that list. and it can lead to some severe conditions. And if that's not treated, it can lead to really severe deformities that can impact someone's ability to care for themselves. And of course, the pain can be really excruciating. So you might have a pain specialist if that medication for the psoriatic arthritis doesn't help the pain enough. So let's talk about, we talk about the lack of diversity in dermatology. Let's start talking about getting access to providers. Jay's gonna pop in on this part of the interview.
What challenges have you faced finding a dermatologist who understands Black skin and psoriasis?
So I faced a ton of challenges specifically with my dermatologist that I was seeing because she truly just lacked cultural competency when it came to skin of color and me. Because I was trying to explain to her, like, when she prescribed to me medication that I had to wash my hair every day, I explained to her that for me, I'm a Black woman. I don't wash my hair every single day. And I had my daughter with me at that appointment. And for me, that truly was a catalyst for me to like implement some change because I had my daughter at that appointment and I'm being told by my dermatologist, you have to wash your hair every single day. And if you don't do that, then you have to do it every 3 days. And then this is just what it is. And left that appointment just feeling like, wow, like this is really the only option. And I did the every 3 days and I lost the majority of my hair and my crown. And I knew at that moment that I had to like not only just like change my dermatologist because I was like, this person, she's not really understanding or hearing me. And I have my daughter with me at this appointment. She's learning from me how to, speak up and advocate for herself. Like how can I make this this experience that felt negative something positive? So I started looking for other dermatologists. I went to Facebook and I like asked other people like recommendations for dermatologists. And I was referred to a Black dermatologist, but because she is like the dermatologist everyone goes to, like it was like, well, she doesn't really have availability, but her PA, the physician's assistant, she is available if you want to come. And even though the PA is not a person of color, I can say that when I made the decision to go to this particular dermatologist, I not only just felt seen and heard, but I just felt grateful that the PA actually first met with me before even looking at me, like just met with me and just talked to me about challenges that she's seen in general from other patients just like me, and like why it's important to her to even like support and help others who are experiencing things like I may have experienced, because it happens more often than you would imagine. So I know for a fact, just even in my group in general, like people talk about, trying to find either people of color that are in these professions or someone as understanding as the PA that I see that takes the time to learn about us culturally and to learn about our skin. So, it's definitely a challenge, but it's something that was so important to me raising a child that is going to have to learn how to advocate for herself.
So you brought up some really, really good points about access to care with dermatologists and also having cultural competency. I'm glad that you were able to find someone who supported you and understood you, and also that you were brave enough to go out and make a change and advocate for yourself, because there are a lot of people who don't have those options or who don't have someone to support them in those decisions for advocating for themselves. And they just don't have the access to the same access to different dermatologists. We know that in dermatology, there's already a shortage of providers. And then the numbers are even smaller when it comes to finding number one, Black dermatologists, or even dermatologists that, understand the cultural differences. Even something that seems small as how often you wash your hair is a really important, cultural difference that dermatologists and just providers in general have to understand. So, with that being said, how has telehealth changed access to care, especially in underserved communities?
Telehealth, honestly, I know people use the word game changer, but it honestly has been a game changer, especially for those who might not physically have the access to get to appointments. There's in North Jersey, there's a city that many people they can't even get to certain doctors. I have a mentee actually in Washington, like the closest dermatologist to her is over an hour away. So having access to telehealth, and then in the when she can get it makes that interim time so much better for people if they are able to be seen online, get what they need, be able to get whatever medications prescribed, what have you, because not everyone may be able to physically get to these different appointments. So having the option of telehealth truly has been magnificent for many people for plenty of reasons.
That's true. So, you have become a strong voice in advocacy. What impact do you hope to make through your work?
Oh wow! Like I when I decided to become a mentor and advocate with the National Psoriasis Foundation, that decision came after I had reached out to them for help and support along my journey. Um, and I would be remiss if I didn't touch on that briefly. Like in the midst of like the pandemic and just trying to, wait until I could get into my doctor's office, I found the National Psoriasis Foundation. I got connected, and signed up for the navigator system that gives you free samples, different things, because I just wanted anything that I could get. And from there, got mentorship because they offer one-to-one mentorship. Um, and then from there, got involved into advocacy because I learned about the challenges people were facing, specifically one in regards to step therapy, where you have to try and fail at different medications before you can actually get the medication that may be the one to help you. Um, and so, my thank you to the National Psoriasis Foundation was becoming an advocate and a mentor, because that like I've been involved in quite a bit of different organizations, but the people there are they're true champions because they truly pour into each and every person that gets connected with their organization, and they've been so great with not only supporting me but also spreading my message and information about my group. um, and so my thank you to the National Psoriasis Foundation has been the work that I do in advocacy is hugely important, and it's how I extend my gratitude.
It's wonderful. Many people don't know about the options that they have, the networks that they can get connected to. So, it's great that you brought up the National um, Psoriasis Foundation and how it's helped you and how it can also help other people. So, you talked a lot about, mentoring. So, what I'd like to know is why is patient mentorship so crucial, and how can it change someone's journey with this condition?
So patient mentorship is like it is is crucial. It is crucial because yes, you can go to a doctor, yes, you can go to like your family members, your friends, whomever, But there's something different and special about like connecting with someone that has experienced the same things that you have, and they might be on the other side of it. And you might need that motivation, that push, that encouragement from someone that understands. Because if if you're going to people that have not experienced it, and yes, they can support you, but if you're going to those people and they don't truly understand the magnitude of what you might feel or might be experiencing, it's different. So knowing that you can connect with someone and that they've been along that same path and that same journey, good, bad, or indifferent. Because when I tell you, it's not all like, it's not just about like me saying, well, yes, yes, you're gonna get to the other side is, a great thing. No, there's bad moments, there's bad times, and that's how you feel is valid, and it's okay to acknowledge that. Hearing that from another person that has experienced it gives you not only hope, but just like that extra push to really just persevere. So I think it's hugely important that people, if you can get connected with, another person who is has experienced the same journey, because yeah, they can like not just hold your hand, but like give you what you might need in order to know that there is another side.
Yeah, this journey affects people not just physically, but mentally as well. And so I think that, I agree that it's very important to be able to connect with other people who have experienced it and that you can relate to.
Yeah, that in the last 3 weeks, I've heard multiple people mention hand holding for different topics altogether. But it shows how important it is, how much we need each other. And that mentorship really speaks to that louder theme that we have here on this show, advocacy. And the longer I treat patients, the more I realize how important it is that people speak up for themselves. And so I love that you shared your experience with the PA, because you got that because you reached out, you took another step, you sought out a second opinion, and you were able to find someone who made you be seen and heard, which you started off at the top when we did our icebreaker. You said that was a really important theme. I love how you brought it back in. And so for our patients, right? When that comes to that advocacy, one, recognizing that if you feel a certain way, to go with your gut instinct and go seek help, right? When you go see a provider, it's okay to ask them, how comfortable are you treating people who look like me? What have you done to increase your clinical knowledge and confidence? And we hope that they'll be transparent with you and say, hey, look, this is something I'm comfortable with. Let's talk about what your symptoms are and go through your diagnosis. Or, hey, let me refer you to someone who is. And so for our peers, we want to know that there are resources out here for you, like the National Psoriasis Foundation. I'm so glad you've had such a positive experience and that you gave them their flowers. I'm grateful for them. That's how I found you, on their podcast. And so for my peers who don't know, they have excellent resources on their website. The podcast is wonderful too. They have a pocket guide that walks you from everything from topicals to biologics. It's wonderful. I love Visual DX. That is a decision support tools that you can download their app or use their website. They just became partners with DMPs of Color. So if you're a member of DMPs of Color, the Society of Dermatology Nurse Practitioners, or Dermatology Nurses Association, by being a member, you can get a discount on their subscription, which I've been a member of subscriber for at least 3 years now. I'm a champion for them. I can't say enough about the work that they're doing in increasing access to that education, helping to improve that lack of diversity in dermatology education. They have over 45,000 images in their visual image library, including skin of color. Every time you look up a diagnosis, whether you're typing in the search box or using their AI tool, you can see specific considerations for skin of color. We love that. And then See My Skin, that's for you patients. You can go to Google, See My Skin. You can see conditions that look like people like you. Shout out to Visual DX and Vaseline for that resource. And then we've already done an episode in our early days on how to find a Black dermatology provider. We'll link that in the description box. It's one of our most popular, actually, episodes. And the step therapy, we learned about step therapy when we had Tanja Johnson on. just like you, diagnosed with a condition, vitiligo, just like you, couldn't find a community of people that look like her, just like you. She started a private Facebook page that has blown into Beautifully Unblemished, a support group for people. She's based in Florida, but just like you, she gets hits up from around the world for help. And just like you, she's overwhelmed with the amount of people who need that help. So when it comes to help, let's talk a little bit more about what people can expect when they join Sisters with Psoriasis or the collective.
So, what people can expect is, first of all, non judgment, because a lot of people feel um, they're concerned about sharing because they are already feeling a way about how they might look or like the symptoms they're experiencing. So they know that they are truly, truly, truly in a safe space, a community where we respect each other. It's not a community where we are healthcare providers, so we can't like give you medical information, but we could definitely just share our journey, share our experiences, share our resources. So that is what you can expect when you join the Sisters with Psoriasis support group. As far as the collective is an expansion of the Sisters with Psoriasis that includes like different providers, resources, National Psoriasis Foundation, other dermatologists, just like access to anything that can help and support those of us who are experiencing anything related to our condition. So it's not just the collective is not just for women of color, it's like an extension of our community. Which is why it's the collective, because that's where we can get all of those resources. And I'm really excited about where the collective is going because I've been partnering in many different ways to just provide so much more, beyond what is happening in Sisters with Psoriasis. And it's really, my heart is just like full of joy at what I see ahead and like what has already been done.
And that's beautiful. And you do a lot of work, not only for the groups you've founded or for the National Psoriasis Foundation, you write for other groups too, right? You're a very busy woman.
Very, very busy. So yes, I blog and I tell about my experiences. I just wrote about like my daughter is a cheerleader, and I didn't. I underestimated how much walking I was going to have to do at this last competition, and I talked about that in reference to my psoriatic arthritis. So just sharing my journey in different ways because people just need to know, like, yes, like we all are experiencing similar things, and how did I go through it? How didn't I go through it? Like, you know how has it been? Like, people want to know beyond just like hearing diagnosis, beyond just like hearing medical jargon. They just want to know, like, well, what did you do? So I really truly enjoy sharing, and it helps me unload too, because in general I love to write, I love to read. So I even made a journal, for myself, like a writing prompt journal that I've shared, just as a way to unload. So I love to do those different kinds of things because that actually is a part of my treatment too, honestly.
Is that accessible to the public, that journal?
Yes, it is. So yes, I have my journal, which is actually called "Don't Forget Who You Are," and like it's available on Amazon, but it's a writing prompt journal. So there's different things that it's not about psoriasis or like it's just like being able to unload, because people don't understand that stress and anxiety and depression can actually cause flares. So in order to kind of like help myself with that, I literally was like, well, let me just write. And so then I created different prompts, and I would do one a day. Like, I started once a day and then every other day, or whenever you can, whenever you're just feeling a certain way, even down to just like silly things like, Apple or Android.
I love that. And actually, you brought up a good point because we talked about the different kind of people who might be on your team. That includes a therapist, and you were kind enough to share that that's part of your team, right? And so you
Oh,
just this stress part. So yeah, you want to whatever you're comfortable sharing.
oh yeah, absolutely. I see my therapist in person because it's a preference every Monday, and it's kind of like it's a part of my life. And I've told him that like you probably could see other patients, but like you're part of my every week plan. And I see him every Monday just to like, it helps me to get through my weeks because there's a lot, even though I'm at a place where I'm comfortable and I've accepted and things are okay. I go through the same challenges as anyone else. I get overwhelmed, I experience stress, I experience anxiety, just life stuff in general. So for me, like it's hugely important because um like I stated, stress can like induce flares. For me, it's important to kind of be centered and to be able to just release anything that might, you know, create anything that can cause my body to go into a tizzy. And I don't want to get back to the place where I had the major flare up. So for me, is very important. And beyond psoriasis, just the state of the world, people need people to talk to, and sometimes you might need more than just like a counselor. You might need a therapist. That is something that is a part of my week. It's just like me getting up to go and exercise, me going to talk to someone is something that I need in order to like get through. It's a part of who I am.
Thank you. And I love the journal that it's not just psoriasis because you're not just your disease either. No one is, right? It's just a part of something that we have to manage, but it's not our whole identity. And sometimes that can be hard to separate, particularly in the beginning when we haven't been diagnosed or we're still trying to figure out a regimen that works. And that's all the conversations we're having. It's the only thing that we can think of. It can be very hard to separate, but this is just a friendly reminder that your disease is not your whole identity. And so we love that you have these options out there for everyone and that you've been so kind enough to share how you manage it yourself because you are a businesswoman, you're a mother, you're a human, right? And so you need that additional support. And we love to bring attention and awareness to how important it is to have a therapist or a counselor and to address our mental health. I think it's just as important as having a dentist. I've said that many times, right? I think that everyone should have one on their team. As we wrap up, given your personal experience and your access to the community, who you have created a space for them to be very vulnerable and transparent, taking all of that, what advice do you have for those of us in the medical community when it comes to education, research, and clinical practice? What can we do better?
Listen, I think it's just so important. I feel like as patients, sometimes we do forget that medical professionals are people too.
Mm.
And they have their own lives and different things and challenges that they face. Um, but sometimes a lot of people don't feel heard because it's like, let's just get through these appointments because I have to do this, that I have to see whomever. So, really just listening, understanding, and like acknowledging uh, patients because, a lot of people don't feel like they are being taken seriously, especially with psoriasis, because people say, oh, it's just like your skin. So, I think medical professionals could just really like be a little, like maybe be a bit more heart centered.
Mm.
And I know that there's been a lot of shifts, like even when I go to see my dermatologist, like at the start of each appointment, I'm asked like different things regarding my mental health. So just a check in it means so much to know that someone cares, and that little thing can really make the difference for so many people. So yeah, just listen.
Before Jade wraps us up with our takeaways, how can we support you?
Wow. So just sharing my website, the psoriasiscollective.com, that would be a great support for me because it gives different resources. I also have like a link for the Black Derm Directory that was created. So I share that because a lot of people are always looking for Black dermatologists, but it also has blogs and just information. It also links back to the National Psoriasis Foundation. So, and also like my journal is there as well. If you're interested in different things like that, I've also am going to be launching another aspect of my business where I have like pins that I have. In reference to chronic illness because I envisioned for not just myself but for everyone to know that despite our challenges we still can like be that girl. So I have created the Chronically Couture shop. So that is on my website as well, but I'm going to be doing a formal launch of it to expand it. Because we should still feel good about ourselves and have different nice things to, turn the lemons into lemonade despite what we're feeling. So I have that on my website as well. So supporting me um, through going to the website and just, checking it out. And if you are not part of the group and you want to join the group, you can absolutely join the group as well on Facebook. That would be awesome as well.
All right. So, our TMI takeaways for today's show are awareness and education. So, psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis don't look the same on melanated skin as they do on other types of skin. And that often leads to misdiagnosis and delays in treatment. Understanding the differences is crucial to improving care for communities of color. Our second takeaway for TMI is empowerment and advocacy. It's important for you to know that your voice matters, whether it's speaking up at doctor's appointments or seeing the right specialists or mentoring others. Self advocacy is the key to better health outcomes. And our final takeaway is community and support. No one should navigate this alone. Safe spaces like Sisters with Psoriasis and the Psoriasis Collective exists to provide education, encouragement, and a sense of belonging.
Thank you both for joining us and helping make this conversation so delightful. I didn't mention Jade. She has over 10 years of dermatology experience. She's being very humble in this episode, but it's been such a joy to have her on and to be part of this. Aisha, thank you so much for your time, being so transparent and so vulnerable, and your commitment to not only improving your own care, but your community and giving them a space where they can feel seen, heard, and remembered. Remember, everyone, you can email us your questions and show ideas to tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, there's still time. You can give us a thumbs up, leave a comment or two. If you're on the Apple or Spotify podcast, please leave us some reviews. It helps the algorithm see that this information is important so that when people like you look for topics like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. At the time of this recording, we release new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Shout out to Angie. And we drop the audio at 5 a.m. So all of our night shifts are going to be the first to get something and not the last. And maybe one day someone will play it during huddle and tell us about it. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.